I'd like to begin by saying that Robo Recall isn't a story-heavy game, but in case you are worried about spoilers, I will be showing footage from only one level of the game that I felt was representative of the gameplay in general. If you do enjoy this review, then please feel free to like, comment and subscribe. My personal experience of the game is on the PC VR version, playing on Steam, utilising the Revive mod, which allows Oculus games to be played over Steam VR. I've tried playing it with both the Index controllers and the Vive ones. It played fine on both, though I will say that having to constantly hold the grip buttons down on the Vive ones and to use the touchpad to move was a little bit fiddly. Robo Recall was released on March 1st, 2017, which by VR standards makes it quite an old game when you consider that commercial VR only really started taking off in 2016. It was produced by Epic Games. The current price on the Oculus Store is £22.99, and the average playtime, if you're only running the main missions the required number of times, is around 3 hours. As previously mentioned, the game is story-light in general, but what story is there is quite simple. A bunch of robots in the city have gone berserk, and you're an agent called in to recall those robots, usually by destroying them, though in some cases you'll have to throw them into a vortex where they get recovered intact. The gameplay is primarily high score based, where you'll be progressing through a series of levels, attempting to get the highest score that you can in each one. You'll do this by destroying robots in different ways, either utilising guns or hand-to-hand combat. So, on to the big question. Is Robo Recall still worth playing in 2020? For the too long didn't watch, in my opinion, the game is still worth playing and buying, though some of the mechanics do show their age. Whether you get your playtime out of the game is also going to depend on what kind of player you are. $22.99 for only 3 hours of gameplay is quite steep, but the quality is also high. If you are the sort of player who likes to go for high scores and to repeat levels, then you're going to get much more playtime out of this. The game in general is stupid, light-hearted, action-packed and fun. From the dialogue of the robots to the dialogue of the bosses, everything oozes quality and I had a great time from start to finish. The game to me feels like it sums up a lot of the early VR experiences, but with the quality really turned up. When VR was new, we had a lot of wave shooters, and this is basically that. You do move through levels, but you move from area to area, and in each new area you then have to defend against a new wave of robots. As mentioned previously, where Robo Recall makes itself stand out is in the level of quality and the detail. You can probably tell from the footage that the world itself is really beautifully created, while for me at least, still being light enough on graphics to run smoothly. For me, the highlights of the mechanics are basically all the bits that make you feel like an action hero. There's the slow motion when you teleport, the ability to grab bullets, and the fact that you can reload your gun. In fact, it's the only way to reload your gun, by throwing it at an enemy and catching it as it bounces back. Otherwise you'll be having to wait for a new gun to respawn, either on your hip or on your shoulder, depending on which slot you grabbed it from initially. The game even shows that it was quite far ahead in some aspects mechanically, as it has a sort of magnetic grab system. As we see in a lot of modern VR games, if you put out your hand towards whatever you want to grab, and then hit either the grip buttons or in the index controls in this case, just close your hand around it, it will then drag the target in. The only things to grab in this game is the robots and weapons on the floor. Grabbing robots is a lot of fun and they can be dismembered limb by limb if you are so inclined. Of course, there's no such thing as a perfect game, and here I have two pretty major criticisms. Number one, repetitive boss fights. There are 3 boss fights in the game, and each one is basically the same fight, but with escalating mechanics each time. I don't want to give too much detail because I don't want to ruin the fights. However, you'll find that there won't really be many surprises for you after you've fought for the first time. The second criticism is the lack of smooth locomotion, which I know will be a big one for some people. And I also know that there'll be some people screaming at me, telling me that teleporting is core to the game's mechanics because it's also how you activate slow motion. And I understand that. However, I prefer smooth locomotion in general, it doesn't usually make me feel sick, and it's also a much more immersive way to play the game. If there was some way to activate slow motion via button press, or even just to use a combination of teleport and smooth locomotion, for me I would be much happier with that implementation. In summary, so long as the cost and the short playtime doesn't put you off, I highly recommend you pick up Robo Recall. That's it for the review. I thought we'd keep it short and sweet. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll leave you with the last 3.5 minutes of gameplay of this level. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
Move to the next location. Our enemy's plans may become evident if we can analyze enough functioning robots. Please collect as many as possible.
2, 1, go!
This vortex is where you may deposit collected items.
Talk about that SSD and
It wasn't using that anyway.
not serve your needs this way. Hold for supervisor. I am. Respect.
90 seconds left.
You. Kind of make it
I'm proud to know you.
Hey, quit it with that name. Like, hey, hands up.
60 seconds remaining.
It's got me.
Overachiever, Agent 34.
Got my code.
I brag to the
Agent,
other
30 seconds left.
Over the top, Agent 34. Oh man, you are too good, partner.
Customer is being.
Only 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Collection criteria met.
Service with us.
They're not going anywhere.
Exceptional performance, Agent 34. Back to the office.
Hey.